Coming up on NTC News, dozens of students take to the MLK Commons for a march called Building Unity Through Resistance. We'll have more details.
And gun control protests are having politicians talking. We'll talk about what they have to say.
For the next NIU president has begun. We'll tell you how the presidential committee plans to find candidates. NTC News starts now.
On the campus of Northern Illinois University and from the Northern Television Center, this is NTC News Tonight.
Hello, I'm Ryan Naun. Thank you for joining us.
And I'm Alyssa Galan. Today is Thursday, February 22nd.
We have breaking news of a scene on First Street. NTC reporter Marlene Wences was on location and joins us now. Marlene, what did you observe?
I just got back from the scene, and from what I could see, there were dozens of officers. A SWAT vehicle on the corner of Augusta and First Avenue. Police issued an alert around 1 p.m. saying all traffic was stopped for police activity on First between Sycamore and Augusta. Witnesses say they saw officers with protective gear, and I heard officers asking people to evacuate the area and for residents to leave a nearby building. We'll keep an eye out on this developing story.
Dozens of students gathered at the MLK Commons today, shouting against current immigration policies. It was part of an organized march called Building Unity Through Resistance. The protesters say they are against what President Trump is proposing, and hoping their voices will carry from NIU straight to the White House.
Hundreds of students across the nation walked out of schools to call for stricter gun control. There were walkouts everywhere from Washington, D.C. to Arizona yesterday. This after a gunman killed 17 people in a school shooting a week ago in Parkland, Florida. The rallies were in response to lawmakers rejecting a vote of semi-automatic weapons. Some of the students from Parkland spoke at the state capitol, while others took to the media to express their anger over what they felt lawmakers are allowing to happen.
Within this past week alone, a movement has begun. A movement that demands change at a state and national level.
A nationwide walkout is planned for March 14th, the 1-month anniversary of the Parkland shooting.
We went on campus to talk with NIU students about school walkouts. President
Donald Trump is saying today that arming teachers might be the best option to prevent future school.
The higher authorities, and things like that. But it was a nice movement, you know what I'm saying? Good way.
I don't think that it's going to change anything. Hopefully it does. With the people that we have in office right now, both on the higher scale and the lower end, it's really up to them, and it's in their hands. We're the ones who voted them into, not me personally, but as a society. We have to take responsibility for that, and we have to do more. And unfortunately, I don't think the strikes will.
President Donald Trump is saying today that arming teachers might be the best option to prevent future school shootings. This after dozens of survivors and family members met with Mr. Trump at the White House yesterday. Mr. Trump says that he will try to strengthen background checks for people buying guns. He also wants to put an age threshold on buying certain weapons, including the AR-15 used in the Parkland shooting. Mr. Trump will be meeting today with lawmakers about school safety.
Meanwhile, the head of the National Rifle Association is warning people about stricter gun control policies. CEO Wayne Lafayette made his first public comments since last week's shooting to the Conservative Political Action Conference yesterday. He says gun control advocates care more about destroying liberty than protecting kids. He went on to the question of leadership of the FBI and said the only way to protect schools is to better arm schools. There are many opinions on how to handle gun control issue after the Florida shooting.
NTC reporter Mackenzie Meadows sat down with an Army vet with a unique perspective on the issue. Mackenzie?
Cameron Hallis, Army veteran, joins us now today. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem, no problem.
Could you give me a little background on your Army experience and what you did within the Army?
Well, it was 4 years active duty. My MOS was 13 Mike, which is multiple launch rocket system. So artillery with rockets, M270 vehicle, track vehicle. It's pretty high speed. But that's not what we did during our deployment in Iraq. What we did in Iraq was lots of guard duty, lots of patrols. So it was the real deal. I did one deployment and disabled from PTSD, but I got out with 2 ARCOM medals, an Army Achievement Medal, good conduct, and an honorable discharge. So I'd say it was an above average military service.
Yeah, thank you so much for your service as well. So since coming out of the Army into civilian, what would you say your views have changed regarding gun control and Second Amendment rights for Americans?
A lot of things that gun advocates say about people who want gun control. I mean, I saw this on Twitter one time. Liberals don't understand guns. We don't call them AR-15s. We call them M16s. That's our prime weapon. I carried that thing around nonstop, all around with me when I was in Iraq. I mean, you sleep with that thing. Mm-hmm. I also shot AK-47s and RPGs when there was one day that they took captured weapons and wanted us to shoot them. I also shot fully automatic M240s. I shot 50 cals, Mark 19s. We blew stuff up. So I handled more guns, real bullets and bombs than most gun rights advocates would ever hope to ever fire themselves. But none of them have any place in the civilian world. Now maybe if you are part of the state militia, that's a different story, but why do you need a semi-automatic rifle?
So then would you say that you have different proposals that you would actually like to sit down and discuss for more gun control?
Any gun control efforts here in the United States are deliberately made to fail. In other nations that have gun control laws, those laws actually work. Mm-hmm. So we need gun control laws that actually work. And the NRA has basically engendered in everybody a certain fear that one gun law leads to another and ends up as full confiscation of weapons. I mean, they get people afraid of the domino effect.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, thank you so much for being here today and sharing everything that you are knowledgeable about. Thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and send it back to Ryan and Alyssa. Thanks, guys.
The Presidential Search Preparation Committee is meeting today to research the recent practices and trends for hiring university presidents. The previous university, Doug Baker, resigned after he allegedly mismanaged school funds. The committee will use the research data to create a job description for the position while pointing out NIU's points of pride. The search committee will meet again in late March.
After abruptly losing 10 senators, the Student Association is in need of candidates. NTC Ibun Osiemi has more on this story.
The Student Association Senate met Sunday to vote on inducting 3 new members after losing 10 senators in January. 21 active senators across the 4 districts were in attendance. The meeting was held at the Home Student Center Sky Room at 5. President Christine Wang knows what she wants in the new senators and is accepting of students. Drive is the only qualification needed to join the Senate.
I want somebody who is passionate about this campus, who wants to learn more about what it can offer. I really am looking for people who have that drive to become a leader.
Sophomores Terrence Powell, Morgan Lytle, and transfer student Michael Kane spoke at the podium to ensure all senators they have what it takes to be added. Morgan Lytle believes his strengths will provide insights in helping students succeed.
Being a senator is a good position for me on campus, a good purpose, because I can put my energy and talents and skills to work.
Though they have 3 new senators, the Student Senate is still looking for more people to join the organization.
In order to get involved, you do have to attend a mandatory candidates meeting, which takes place on February 26th, February 27th, February 28th, and March 1st.
The Student Association Senate meets every Sunday at 5. For NTC News, I'm Ebolua Osayemi.
There are mandatory meetings for candidates happening next week in the Campus Life building.
Jacob is here for a quick look at the weather.
Jacob, how cold is it going to get tonight?
Well, it shouldn't get too cold tonight, but we do expect some rain tonight and over the weekend. How much will come and when will it come will be answered in just a little bit. Back to you guys.
Next on NTC News. From being held at gunpoint in the Little Village neighborhood to striving at NIU and getting a story in the paper, we'll hear about one student's inspiring story through life.
And students find out about job opportunities at the internship fair. We'll tell you more about that after the break.
Okay, they really need a new person up there.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. Heard about the scarecrow who won an award? He was outstanding in his field.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts.
Yes, you.
You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. Yeah. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
This week in politics, a meeting with North Korean leaders is canceled.
An alleged Russian election meddling continues to make headlines. Carl Reevy has it all in this next week's political pit stop.
Thanks, guys. A meeting with Vice President Mike Pence and North Korean officials is canceled. The Vice President was scheduled to meet with high-level North Korean delegates, including Kim Jong-un's sister, at the Blue House in Seoul, South Korea. Trump signed off on the meeting in hopes of pressing North Korea to abandon its nuclear weapons programs. The North Korean government changed its mind about the meeting after Pence talked to defectors and hosted the father of the American who died in North Korea after being detained. Vice President Chief of Staff Nick Ayers says that North Korea didn't like the Vice President using the Olympics as a stage to show the current state of affairs between the U.S. and North Korea. President Trump challenges Attorney General Jeff Sessions to investigate the Obama administration for failing to stop foreign interference in the 2016 election. Mr. Trump slammed Sessions in a tweet yesterday, claiming he did nothing to investigate crimes perpetrated by the Democratic Party. He insists that the Obama administration should be the subject of investigation, as it was in power during Russia's alleged election meddling. This comes after the Deputy Attorney General's televised announcement of 13 indictments against Russian nationals on Friday. The Justice Department has refused to comment on the tweet. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Nikki Haley says that the Trump administration will not change its decision to move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. That decision was made in December. On Tuesday, Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas addressed the UN Security Council wanting further clarification on the reasons for the planned move. Palestinian leaders claim that Jerusalem is their capital. That's it for this week's Political Pit Stop. Back to you.
The neighborhood known as the Little Village in Chicago is making headlines today. That's because a toddler was stabbed to death last night. Police say 2-year-old Mateo Aguayo was found practically decapitated in his apartment. Authorities say they are bringing in a so-called person of interest for questioning.
One NIU student knows all too well what truly goes on in the little village on a daily basis.
NTC Mackenzie Meadow sits down with Mateo Avila, who was featured in the Daily Chronicle for growing up surrounded by the violence and gang activity that is atrocious in the southwest side of Chicago.
Mateo Avila joins us now with more on his inspirational story. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having me. It's definitely weird being on the end of things around here, but it's cool to be here.
So could you elaborate and kind of dive into more of your background story and where you came from?
So I come from Little Village on the southwest side of Chicago. It's a predominantly Latino neighborhood. It has amazing food and Mexican culture, but also very gang infested and violent riddled area. And the gangs definitely take over a lot of what people know about Little Village. So unfortunately, when you hear things about Little Village, you don't hear too much about the good things that go on there. You mostly hear about the latest shooting or most recent gang activity.
In the article, in the Chronicle, it stated that you were held at gunpoint during a robbery. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, that happened when I was 19 years old, and unfortunately it wasn't the first time. But basically what had happened that instance was I was at a friend's house. It was over, I believe it was over winter break, very early into winter break. So all my friends that went to different schools, we all kind of get back together and hung out at one friend's house in particular. And as the gathering let out, I was just walking to my car, and someone comes up to me, seemed about my age, and just started demanding money, started demanding my phone, stuff like that. And I kind of just tried to talk to him. I was like, look, like I don't have anything. I don't have much to give you or whatever. And he pulled out a gun and pointed it at my head and said, hey, you know, like I'm not asking for these responses. I want your phone. I want your money. At the time I had a white iPhone 5. I pulled it out and it was like it was broken. I pulled it out and showed it to him. I was like, this isn't gonna get you nothing. Like I don't see what do you want out of this. And I did have money in my pocket, but obviously I wasn't gonna tell him that because I wasn't trying to be in that situation. And so throughout most of it, because I've kind of been through it before, I kind of just try to convince him to not do what he was doing. And it resulted in him putting the gun down and kind of just running. Nothing happened to me, but it was just a bad experience that unfortunately I had experienced multiple times before.
So then why turn to sports? Why turn to your education instead of falling down the path of violence and you yourself joining a gang?
That really goes off to my parents, because when I was a young child, I didn't have the freedoms like other kids do, and I didn't do things like other kids did. My mom was a stay-at-home mother, so I stayed with her the majority of the time. It was school, home. And so one of the things she got me into really early was sport.
Greek Row is getting a bit of a makeover. The Sigma Nu fraternity house on the corner of Kimberly and Blackhawk Roads went under a lot of changes to comply with the building codes. The fraternity is still filling petitions to make changes to their kitchen, parking lot, and landscaping. The DeKalb Planning and Zoning Commission met yesterday to discuss changes for those final construction plans.
Attracting outside business is top priority for DeKalb. That was one of many goals discussed at a special meeting of the City Council on Monday. It's all part of the 2025 plan to revitalize the area surrounding NIU. One alderman expressed concern that the city's strict regulations on building development makes it hard to draw outside businesses to the area.
Vendors, students, and NIU all teamed up this week to give opportunity to the Huskies. For NTC News, Brandon Giese reports.
Apparel for the Spring Internship and Career Fair at the Convocation Center on Tuesday. The turnout in the hundreds, and this is not a new trend. Huskies continue to impress with strong attendance numbers at these fairs.
If you look at national data of the number of seniors that attend a career fair, it's about 24.5%. Now, when we look at that rate at NIU, it's 31%. So we're doing better than the national average.
Huskies see great value in meeting these employers on campus. Many students take advantage and see major benefits to communicating at a professional level earlier than their competition.
It will definitely improve my ability to speak with people that are hiring, and it will improve my ability to kind of gauge what people are looking for in employees.
This is one of 3 career fairs held this month. I'm Brandon Giese for NTC News.
The NIU hosts the Internship and Career Fair once each semester.
College of Health and Human Services have made changes for students with disabilities. Disability Ally and Advocate Association, known as DALLAS, is an organization that promotes disability awareness and career development. DALLAS offers training programs for students with disabilities to help them adjust in the college environment. The group was forced to break up in the beginning of the school year because of a lack of financial support. Supporters are working to bring the program together.
1 + 1 could equal fun. High school students from 17 different schools will compete in a regional mathematics contest on Saturday. The NIU Department of Mathematical Sciences will host the contest. Auditorium. Prizes will be awarded to individuals and teams of each of the 3 subject areas. Winners will automatically qualify for the state championship. The contest will be hosted from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Legendary oceanographer Sylvia Earle is coming to DeKalb tonight to showcase her Emmy Award-winning documentary, Mission Blue. The film will be shown for free at the Egyptian Theater at 7 p.m. It explores her personal mission to save the world's ocean. Earle will be answering questions and meeting with guests after the screening. We're going to go to Jacob with now with the week's forecast.
Jacob, is it going to be cold this weekend?
It actually won't be cold. Temperatures are expected to rise slightly this weekend and then rise even more in the following week. Let's first start with today. Today we had cloudy skies across the DeKalb area with a high of 38 and low of 34. Expect some showers tonight into tomorrow morning with a 70% chance of precipitation. Looking into tomorrow, there will be lingering showers in the morning, which will lead to clear skies in the afternoon. A high of 41 and a low of 27 is expected. But as we head into Saturday, we will see showers in the morning and then a break from the rain in the afternoon, but that will lead to heavy showers and thunderstorms Saturday night. The key with this rain is that gusts are going to be up to 30 miles per hour at times, which will lead to hazardous road conditions if you are out there during the weather. 80% chance of precipitation is likely with a high of 40 and low of 27. But the rain will stop as we go into Sunday with some lingering showers in the morning, but it will clear in the afternoon. A high of 40 and low of 25 is expected. But the wind will continue to gust up to 40 miles per hour at times. But as we look at the week ahead, we will see beautiful skies Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, with Tuesday and Wednesday reaching almost 60 degrees, which only means one thing: spring is fast approaching. Back to you guys.
Coming up on NTC News, we're going to find out who's going to the mat in this week's Leader of the Pack.
And from spies to a fairy tale,
for a short period of time, his growth as a competitor is undeniable.
After the break.
Brock finished.
What's Beethoven's favorite fruit? Banana. Heard about the scarecrow who won an award? He was outstanding in his field.
Hey, you.
Yeah, you. Getting that college education? What are you gonna do? Graduate and take some office job? Be like everybody else?
Or will you dare do something different?
Like, be a teacher. You could be my teacher. You got the skills. The smarts. Yes, you. You could be the teacher I never forget.
That'd be cool.
Does that corporate job even have recess? What are you gonna make of yourself?
What are you gonna make of me?
Of all the things you've done with your bike, donating it to Goodwill may be the most incredible of all. Your donations help fund job placement and training for people in your community, which means your stuff can be more powerful than you think. Goodwill. Donate stuff, create jobs.
What to expect when you're expecting a teenager.
Today we're talking about how to wake up your teen, and this works literally every time.
Good kisses. Good kisses. You heard how loud
I heard. It wasn't you. It was the...
Is that bacon?
You don't have to know it all to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
Time now for sports. Andrew Heiserman fills us with what happened this weekend in the world of Husky sports.
It has been a very busy week for the Husky sports teams. Let's start by looking at women's basketball. The women's basketball team played last night looking to pick up a win against the Central Michigan Chippewas. The Huskies were looking to bounce back after a tough loss to Ball State this past Saturday. Junior forward Courtney Woods put up a strong effort, scoring 30 points despite the 91-77 loss. The Huskies will travel to Eastern Michigan on Saturday with hopes on snapping a 2-game losing streak. Tip-off is set for 1:30 p.m. The Huskies gymnastics squad is coming off splitting a pair of matches at the Gym Quarters Invitational this past weekend. NIU topped Lindenwood University 195.025 to 193.6, but fell to University of Minnesota, who achieved a team score of 195.75. The gymnastics team will return home this Sunday at 2 p.m. to host Ball State University. They will honor current cancer patients and caretakers in their upcoming meet. The Husky baseball team started off their season on the right foot by defeating the Central Arkansas Bears in 2 of 3 games last weekend. NIU lost the first game 2-3 and found their rhythm in the next 2 games. The Huskies will play 4 games this weekend, all against Western Kentucky University. They plan to continue their success on the road and improve their 2-1 record. The men's basketball team was unable to take advantage of being down by only 3 points midway through the second half. The Ball State Cardinals started off hot in the second half to give them a 10-point lead over the Huskies. NIU rallied to get back to within only 3 points. The Cardinals then went on a 29-9 run, taking a 73-50 lead over NIU with about 7 minutes remaining. Although the Huskies finished the game strong, it was not enough to overcome the deficit. The Huskies will be back on the road Saturday against Eastern Michigan for their final regular season road game. The NIU wrestling team is preparing for the MAC championship next weekend. Husky wrestlers have struggled this season and sit at the bottom of the MAC standings. NIU finished their regular season with a home loss against Kent State University. The loss moved their record to 3-10 overall and 1-6 in the MAC. The Huskies are still keeping hope alive as the championship approaches. Leadership in sports is something that's hard to come by, but NIU wrestler Brock Hudkins has quickly transformed himself into a leader both on and off the mat. NTC News reporter Martin Sotelo has more in this week's Leader of the Pack.
Sophomore wrestler Brock Hudkins is impressive on the mat. He moves with speed, precision, and power. Brock's road to success hasn't been easy. He has been injured multiple times, but always finds a way to bounce back and compete at a high level.
I try to find the positive in everything, and sometimes it's hard, and it's always nice to have like the support from the coaches to help me, see that and understand that even when things are going bad, there's always something good. You just got to find it. So that's kind of what I look forward to.
Although Brock has only been at NIU for a short period of time, his growth as a competitor is undeniable. Brock finished his freshman season with a record of 21-11 and currently holds a record of 13-9. Head coach Ryan Ludwig believes his early success is due to an attitude not shown by many underclassmen.
I'd say just in terms of maturity, right? I mean, in a mindset, I think last year there was a point, in the middle of the season where, he may have got a little bit down, he was kind of beat up, and, he needed to make some decisions as to, how he wanted to present himself and compete, and boy, did he toughen up.
Brock is a very wise individual with a large following, and while many aim to one day pursue a similar path, he has a distinct message for those people.
I always tell people, you know, if people come to me like, man, I want to be like you. And like, no, you don't. Be yourself. Make your own path. Like, you can don't look up to anybody. Look up to yourself. Put yourself higher than everybody. Tell yourself that you're the best, and then believe it. And you just got to go with that. So,
Brock's underdog mentality and ability to overcome adversity leaves him as this week's leader of the pack. I'm Martin Sotelo from NTC News.
Brock and the rest of NIU Wrestling will now head to Mount Pleasant, Michigan to compete in the MAC Wrestling Championships. That will be it for NTC Sports, and as always, go Huskies. Let's send it back to the desk.
A recent NIU alum published her first book, and her second is coming out soon. NTC reporter Constance Fowler has more on this story of success.
Hannah Carmack graduated last spring with an English degree where she spent most of her NIU days taking classes in Revis Hall, working on her book, and has now joined NIU's faculty. Carmack now has an office at the Manat building where she still enjoys helping kids read, learn, and have fun through NIU's STEM Read program.
It's fantastic. It's a lot of work, but the high payoff is so worth it. I would say to see those kids happy and to get kids reading for sometimes it's the first time they've read for pleasure in their lives. It's amazing.
Carmack does a lot of volunteer work to help inspire kids and has inspired other English students like Katie Newmeyer.
I think it's really cool because I also want to be able to publish books after I graduate. It's why I'm an English major and why I'm in the writing track. But I actually really admire that.
Carmack is publishing with 9 Star Press, and her book Seven-Sided Spy hit bookstores January 15th. Carmack has been busy with book signings in Schaumburg and Rockford, along with an ongoing blog tour, and anticipates having a booth at FlameCon in New York.
I am level 10 excited not only to sell but also to meet all of these creators that I've been reading since I was a kid.
Readers can look forward to Carmack's Take Your Medicine and Alice in Wonderland retelling, available online March 5th. For NTC News, I'm Constance Fowler.
Readers can follow Carmack's enthusiasm at hannahcarmack.com.
That's it for NTC News. We're giving you live updates Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at 1:15.
We want to thank you all for being with us. In collaboration with WNIJ, we're going to leave you now with the Antitones singing The Panther's Hunt. It will air Thursday night at 7 on 89.5, and you can find it at WNIJ.org.